In the quiet morning light of May 19th, 1977, a young woman named Colleen Stan stepped out of her house with a small backpack and a hopeful smile. She was 20 years old, full of life, and excited to visit her friend in California. Hitchhiking wasn't dangerous in her mind. She had done it many times. There was no warning, no sign, no shadow, telling her that her entire life was about to be stolen. Cars passed by her on the open highway. Wind rustled through the trees as she kept her thumb out, waiting for someone to stop. Then a small blue car slowed down. A man in his late 20s sat behind the wheel. Next to him was his wife, holding a baby. They looked friendly. They looked normal. They looked safe. Colleen leaned down to the window with a polite smile. "Going toward California?" she asked. Janice, the woman in the passenger seat, smiled warmly. "Yes, we are. You can ride with us." Colleen stepped inside. The door shut, and the trap closed. At first, everything felt fine. Cameron, the driver, drove quietly. The baby made soft noises in the back. But as minutes turned into miles, the car made a strange turn, away from the main highway. Toward winding forest roads. Colleen felt nervous. She asked softly, "Is this the right way?" Cameron replied with a flat voice, "Just a shortcut." But his eyes, reflected in the mirror, felt wrong. There was something cold inside them. The silence grew heavier. The car stopped in a lonely dirt area surrounded by tall trees. No houses, no people, just wind and danger. Before Colleen could react, Cameron grabbed her. His grip was iron. She gasped, trying to fight, but he was too strong. Janice didn't scream. She didn't stop him. She simply watched. Cameron placed a heavy wooden soundproof box over Colleen's head. The darkness inside swallowed her. She couldn't breathe properly. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears. Her mind spun with terror. She tried to scream, but the box muted everything. The world outside disappeared. She felt herself being dragged, carried, lifted, and dropped. The car drove again. She had no idea where she was going. The box felt tighter with every breath. Every second felt like death moving closer. Hours later, the box came off. Her eyes stung from the dim basement light. Chains hung from the ceiling, ropes, tools, a wooden table. The air smelled like dust and rot. Cameron stood in front of her. "This is where you live now," he said. Colleen cried. She begged. She said she would do anything. She said she wouldn't tell anyone. But Cameron wasn't listening. He wasn't angry. He wasn't excited. He was calm, too calm, like this was normal for him. He chained her arms above her head. Her feet barely touched the ground. Hours became torture. Her muscles ached. Her tears dried. Her throat burned from screaming. Janice appeared and stared at her with nervous eyes. "Don't fight," she whispered. "It will be worse if you fight." Colleen's mind broke a little more. Days passed. Then Cameron built something new, something worse. A long, narrow, coffin-like wooden box. When he opened it, the smell of fresh wood mixed with dread. "You're going inside," he said. Colleen begged, sobbing, shaking her head violently. "Please, please don't put me in there." But he did. He slid her inside the box. Her arms pinned. Her legs pinned. The lid closed. Darkness. Silence. Her breath bounced off the wood and hit her, back in the face. She felt insects crawling near her skin. Sweat rolled down her temples. She couldn't move. She couldn't scream. She could only exist. Inside a box smaller than a coffin. The hours turned into days. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Months into years. Cameron kept Colleen under his bed, literally. A grown woman, locked in a box beneath the place where he slept. He brought her out only when he needed her. He controlled what she ate, when she slept, how she spoke, whether she could breathe fresh air. But Cameron wanted more than physical control. He wanted her mind. He invented a fake secret organization called the Company. He convinced Colleen that the company watched her every second, that they would kill her family if she tried to escape, that they would torture her if she disobeyed. One day he told her, "You belong to me. Your life is mine. If you try to run, your family dies." Colleen believed him. Years passed. Seasons changed. The world moved forward. But inside the box, time stood still. Colleen memorized the sound of footsteps. She learned the rhythm of Cameron's breathing. She counted the seconds of silence. She prayed. She cried without sound. She tried to hold on to memories of light. Cameron eventually forced her to sign a contract calling herself his slave. He said, "Now it's official." There were moments, tiny moments, when Colleen could go outside, when she breathed fresh air, felt sunlight on her skin, looked at trees, but her mind was still locked in fear. She never ran. She never screamed for help. She believed the company was watching. Once, Cameron even took her to meet his parents. She sat at their dinner table. She smiled weakly. She stayed silent. Cameron's parents thought she was a quiet friend. They had no idea she would return to a wooden box after dinner. 7 years of captivity slowly cracked Janice's soul. She watched Colleen suffer. She watched Cameron grow more cruel, more controlling. She saw the fear in Colleen's eyes, the emptiness in her voice, the quiet death happening inside her spirit. One night, Janice entered the basement. Colleen looked up with hopeless eyes. Janice whispered, trembling, "Colleen, everything Cameron told you about the company, it's all a lie. There is no company." Colleen froze. Her breath caught. 7 years of fear shattered inside her. "You can leave," Janice whispered. "You're free." The shock hit her harder than any pain ever had. A few days later, Janice secretly took her to a phone booth in town. She gave her coins. "Call your family," she said. Colleen's hands shook as she dialed the number she had memorized as a child. Her mother answered. "Hello?" Colleen's voice cracked as she said, "Mom, it's me." Silence, breathing, then a scream, then sobbing. Her mother cried so loudly she dropped the phone. Colleen left the hooker house and never returned. When the police case opened, Colleen told everything. Janice testified. Cameron was arrested, expressionless. In court, he sat like a man who didn't understand why his world was falling apart. The judge listened to every detail. 7 years in a box, psychological torture, total control. Cameron showed no emotion. The courtroom fell silent as the judge spoke. "You are sentenced to 104 years in prison." The gavel fell. Justice echoed. Colleen's life slowly rebuilt itself. She learned to walk freely, to breathe freely, to live without fear. She found work. She found peace. She found courage again. She survived 7 years in darkness. She survived the loss of freedom, hope, identity. She survived the nightmare. Her strength became a story of human will. Her survival became a symbol. Her courage became history. And to this day, her story remains one of the most shocking, unbelievable, and terrifying true cases in American history.